probably the next big game coming out, which a lot of people are excited for, is Persona 5, which a few people at the GameSpot office have had for a while now. Have any of them beaten it?
A couple people in the UK.
Cool. Yeah, Tamora Hussein and Lucy James over in the UK have played a lot of Persona 5. And myself, and I think all three of you are Persona fans. Am I correct?
I tend to like the Shin Megami Tensei series a little bit more.
Okay.
From when I've played of this one, I like it more than other Persona games.
Cool. I do have a few like Twitter questions about Persona, but before we get into those, as someone who doesn't know anything about the series, we went to lunch the other day and I was asking you, like, what's even the premise of this franchise? Sounds kind of like, from what you told me about the mechanics and the structure, it sounds like something I would actually be into based on the other RPGs similar to that I do like. But as a newcomer to the series, I wanted to know, from what you've played and from what you guys understand of it, will it be a good introduction to the series for me?
Yeah, I mean, like, right off the bat, you don't need to know anything about the previous games, right? Like, there's no there's like, it's brand new cast, new set. I mean, they're always kind of set in Japan, but this is like, Shibuya. This is like, the heart of Tokyo. And it feels like a much more modernized version of what, Persona's been doing up until this point. Because, like, Persona 4 Golden was a big hit on Vita, but it was also a port of a PlayStation 2 game. So the last thing that we've seen from Persona is quite old at this point. So this game definitely looks like something that you would expect today. So it is cross-platform with PS3, and there are some moments where you're kind of like, oh yeah, I guess maybe the game looks like it could have been better, but maybe it was held back a little bit. But by and large, I think it's the style that really kind of gives it its edge, where maybe the graphics aren't like super impressive on a technical level.
Yeah, for someone unfamiliar with the series, what's like the main allure of it, would you say? I mean, it sounds like it's pretty multifaceted, but...
Yeah, I mean, like, the primary thing is that you sort of hop between this sort of like slice of life, day-to-day thing as a student in high school, and then you kind of dip into this like dark, like alternate dimension where you have control over magical powers and sort of like an alternate personality that is like a projection of like your inner self, and they are the persona. I guess you could compare them to Stans from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, maybe.
Yes. Anime.
God. This is the first one too that has it doesn't have procedurally generated dungeons, right? Like, the dungeons are actually...
From what I've seen so far, they seem to be set in stone. Were they procedurally generated before?
In Persona 4, they were.
Okay, because I didn't get too far into that. Because I didn't actually like the day-to-day
stuff. Oh, really?
In that game.
That was my favorite part of that game.
A lot of people loved it.
I love slice of life. I'm all about slice of life. That's my jam.
I think it just... Persona 4 felt like it got to a kind of a slow start, or like a rolling start, like a really slow roll. This one, I kind of like it because you're basically shipped off from your hometown because you stopped a crime from happening, but the police are sort of like looking at you as someone who intervened when they shouldn't have, and therefore you've been kicked out of your school. So you're shipped off to live with this guy who runs like a little restaurant. And he kind of like doesn't really like you, even though he volunteered to take you in. He's really unsure about you, and he's constantly giving you all these warnings like, look, man, you're on your last straw. Like, you screw up, you're out of here. And so you kind of feel like at odds with everything. But then you feel like almost at home when you go into the alternate dimension, as it were, where things become a little bit less tied down to your character, more about the people around you and what they think of themselves.
Sounds like high school.
Yes.
I think somebody mentioned in the chat a while back, but my good friend Andrew Goldfarb over at IGN beat the game in Japanese. So if that's any indication of whether you can approach this game as a newcomer, he does not speak Japanese at all. So he was just able to get through it. So that kind of says a lot to me about the accessibility.
How's that enjoyable?
He is the biggest Persona fan probably in the entire world.
like this game definitely... it's stylish, and like the menus look great and stuff like that, and some of the character avatars, but there's a huge variety of monsters in this game, and some of them are throwbacks to the past, but they're just like really strange concoctions. So like pretty much everything you're looking at all times is like kind of intriguing in one way or another. So I think even if you don't know Japanese, the combat mechanics mixed with the design of the world and the enemies is probably enough to keep you going. I would worry about getting lost and not knowing where to go.
Me too. I mean, I'm sure he consulted people, because I know a couple people who played in Japanese and different levels of Japanese knowledge. So he probably asked people for help too. But I think he's trying to platinum it in Japanese and in English. because that's just how Andrew is. Love you, Andrew. The other thing I like about Persona is just getting to pick your best girl. Who's your Persona 4 best girl?
I'm not that deep in yet. I've only played about 5 hours or so. So I'm just getting started at school. I'm just sort of like, people are starting to get to know me as the weird kid, the out-of-towner, that kind of thing.
Sounds like a historical drama. Mm-hmm. I was making fun of you, not me.
I know.
I was just kidding. I was a weird kid. Still am.
I want to know who Mike's best girl would be. That's why I want you to play this game. I want you to play Persona 5 so you can tell me who your best girl is.
Well, let me ask you who you think my best girl would be.
I think I saw a girl in a cat suit. That one.
I'm on board right now, but explain her. What's with her personality?
I don't know enough about her personality.
That's what I care about.
I've literally only seen her in that.
She's like Maureen.
She's presented early on as a very interesting character who's kind of like a pivotal character as you're learning to cope with your powers and understand like the situations you're thrust into. Because essentially, like, you just have this cell phone and you're walking around this new part of Tokyo to you, and this icon keeps appearing and you're like, go away, get out of here. But it persists, and that's the sort of thing that triggers you going to another world. And she's involved as something in the real world, which then dictates sort of the behavior of everything in that alternate dimension.
Okay.
It's very interesting, like how quickly this game presents a conflict to you that's really like, oh shit, like that's a thing in this game, like, and they just roll with it. I don't want to spoil it. It's not like a huge deal, but it certainly sets an interesting tone early on.
Okay. Well, I'm into the cat girl right now. Jake, do you have like have you played any other ones besides 4?
Nope, just Persona 4 Golden.
That seems like the one that, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of
justified everyone's Vita purchase.
That's why I got it. I heard that's the reason I should get a Vita, so I got a Vita, played that.
That's what I did.
But that also seems to be the most pervasive Persona game, or at least maybe in the West, or am I wrong?
It's tough to say. I mean, 3 and 4 both had a huge following, like in Japan. It led to anime series and movies and stuff like that. And we've even, I guess, 3... Well, at least 4 had its own dancing and fighting games made. The dancing game was kind of whatever. Right, yeah, but the fighting game was really good, made by Arc System Works. That game was actually great for a spin-off title. But yeah, in the West, I think 4 was really the first time that it kind of caught mainstream attention.
So you can, during the combat, your party will consist of all personae, or...
Well, so you have your own abilities and weapons, but then you can call upon your personas to do...
is that not...
I don't know. I was just countering you. You can call upon your personas to do certain things for you.
Okay.
And you can also negotiate with the demons that you're fighting. It's another kind of core mechanic that came from the Shin Megami Tensei series, which this was born from. Persona seems to have the spotlight now, but Shin Megami Tensei was the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, everything I'm seeing looks like something. I've been getting into like RPG. I mean, I've always liked RPGs, but I've been getting into more RPGs lately. And I think the last one I really grinded with was what was the? I reviewed it and it's escaping me right now.
Bravely Second.
Bravely Second. Thank you so much, and I liked it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the last one I really put time into just grinding through and getting every class for the characters.
Right.
Every job. Sorry, they're called in that game.
Yeah.
Getting the pirate, the cowboy, just like everything you could imagine, honestly. And I really like the variety of that game, which usually seems like a cop out. But
was there a hairdresser class? You said everything I could think of.
What?
The barista class just like badass, and that was my main thing. Now, Jake, have you played 5 yet at all? Persona 5, not Bravely 5th.
No, I have not played Persona 5 at all. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this seems like the game that I want to like make myself get into, because the RPG I wanted to dive into was Mass Effect Andromeda. And for those just joining, we haven't gotten to that yet. We will be talking about it. But I do have a few questions about Persona 5 for people here on the Lobbycast. First, from our friend Goopshoe Riot, a frequenter of the lobby chats and streams here at GameSpot. Is there any word on New Game Plus yet?
I don't know about that.
Okay. And it might be something we can't even talk about if we did know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He is a multi-tiered question. How do you have an idea of how many characters there will be throughout the playthrough?
I don't.
Or how many have you encountered so far in your time with the game, Callie or Pete?
I've encountered 2 characters that are like in your party.
Okay.
Beyond the main character.
Yeah, Sam, I don't.
Sorry, 3 actually.
Oh,
3.
Hold him back, Peter. Is this like
Stop lying.
Is this like a spoiler?
No, I'm just forgetful.
Oh, okay. And then also Goob asked, who is Bae?
Right.
Whatever her name is, she's perfect and I love her.
The cat lady?
The cat lady.
So are you just
But,
saying
okay.
she would be my?
No, I think she's perfect. But Persona 4, Rise all the way. I don't mess with Chie. Don't do that.
Explain both of these people to me.
I don't remember Persona
at
4
Jean-Luc is doing
that
all the
much, but I'm pretty sure Rise was mine as well.
Chie, wait. Who's Jean-Luc? Looks like he likes Chie.
Yeah, Jean-Luc and I got in a little, not a fight, but
Someone in the chat was just mentioning before we move on, the Persona 5's art direction and just like the overall art direction of the series, but Persona 5 specifically looks pretty cool.
It's gonna stay there all.
It's definitely matured. It's like I think 3 and 4 kind of followed a very similar path, but this one definitely is embracing like jazziness. It's hard to.
I can't take anything you're saying seriously.
I know it's shit. Yeah.
it's
A jazzy like comic book style.
Yeah.
Which sounds right up one of my alleys.
It's very, very stylish.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I do have one more question, a little more
From Lloyd
a little more
Christmas?
serious question. I didn't write that. It's Lloyd Christmas, yeah, on Twitter. He tweets at me every once in a while. I really like that name. If that's his real name, that's awesome, but
I
it's
know
probably
him.
not. You know him?
Not his name.
Oh, he's the
his
one
name's actually
he
Lloyd
made me
Christmas.
taunt this guy.
Lloyd
Okay.
Christmas.
From Lloyd Christmas
Believe it
on
or
Twitter.
not.
Thank you very much for sending your question. Goob, thanks to you as well. Goob's here in the chat. I'm sure he'll have other questions. Lloyd Christmas, do you think Persona 5 can have the same commercial success today that something like Final Fantasy VII did when it released?
No, absolutely
No.
not.
Do you think anything can?
No. If Final Fantasy, well, Zelda maybe, right? Like Final Fantasy VII was a game that came along. It struck where the iron was hot, just at the right time, and did something that no other games were really doing, and had a lot of marketing money put behind it. And sort of broke free of, I think, the audience that typically goes for these games. Why are you all smiling?
Because that's still out there.
Yeah.
Rise.
I think we'll see Persona 5 do well, for sure. But I don't think it's going to be sort of a revolutionary game,
Okay.
as it were.
Anybody else contend with that?
Yeah, I think it's it's just niche enough to not be able to get the same traction, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to know something embarrassing?
You've
What?
never played Final Fantasy 7?
That or any other Final Fantasy game. I played 2 hours of 15.
I've never played a Final Fantasy either.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Waters had never played one, and we had him review the third Final Fantasy 13 game.
Yeah. How did that go?
That sounds like a good review.
It was amazing watching him react to all the things that just didn't make sense to even fans.
Did he like it?
I think he walked away with like a 7 or a 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't know. I forget. But you guys should play a Final Fantasy game.
Oh, Chastity.
I want to play
Fantasy
6 really
13-3?
badly.
Huh?
Final Fantasy 13-3.
No.
Chastity says the cat girl's name is Anne,
And
and she's perfect.
that changes things.
Bland.
Yeah.
She does this thing. It's so cute. She
Really?
calls it a man egg.
Puts a hard-boiled egg in her mouth and just
All right.
swishes it
Swirls
around.
it around.
All right. I'm going to move on, if only to get that graphic off the screen. Lloyd Christmas, thank you so much for your question. and Goob, as always, thank you for your input. And so Persona 5 release date
It's coming out April 4th.
April
Our review
4th.
will hit March 29th.
from Lucy James in the
Lucy
UK,
James
right?
in the UK.
So yeah, you can stay tuned to GameSpot for that. We'll have, I'm sure we'll have videos and stories about the game coming out before its release, as in its Western release.
It's been out in Japan since September.
And from what I've
long
seen,
time.
Japan likes it.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So for those of you excited for that, that is kind of, I think that's our, like, I don't know, like kind of subjective, but I think that's the biggest next release after.
Yeah, totally.
There's a few, end of April's pretty packed.
With
like mid-tier stuff?
Yeah. But Persona 5 is going to stand out, and then Prey, I think, will be the next one that gets people talking.
Cool.
But
So-
hopefully Persona 5 is interesting to a lot of people.
Cool. So yeah, stay at GameSpot.com as we approach the release of that game.